Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blaze podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a Stabby chaos coordinator, and one chief shenanigator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, first I'm going to apologize as usual. The chaos on the border has Nick busy doing border patrol people jobs, and our shenanigator one Jana S. Brown was going to be here, but school started back at the time of recording, and their petri dishes of germs, and her kids decided to nicely share. This is what you get as a mom for telling your kids sharing is caring. So they apologize for not being able to make it. We're working on some alternate recording options so we can get Nick back on the show. And with that, we're going to let our guest, Miss S.L. Linton, introduce herself to your listeners and viewers at home.
Hi, I'm S.L. Linton. I am a speculative fiction author. I write everything from sci-fi to horror to fantasy to just weird fiction. I like nerdy stuff, and my brain went blank. So
long walks on the beach, short walks on the cliffs of Dover, where you push the people who annoy you over. Wait, we're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud.
No, yeah. I know all the paths through the swamp.
Right. What? The alligator got you? Oh my. All right. So the next part is where we first found them, and she hangs out in the Three Ravens Discord, among other places. And so she's been coming on since we found nerdy topics she likes to chat about. She's been on a couple panels at this point. But with that, we do have to ask you the religion question because this is your first solo interview. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
All right. Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
Firefly.
Okay. Why Firefly?
I like that it's dirty, that it's not overly sophisticated. I love the characters they're not those super educated types. They're the kind of people you'd expect to find at a truck stop. I love the snark and the humor and the deep stuff that kind of comes out as a surprise, in some of the episodes.
Yeah, what you're basically saying is you like that it's the everyman and the universe feels lived in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because anybody that's ever been in nature knows nothing is clean. And so these people, I went camping. I come out in my uniform's perfectly clean and starched and pressed. I'm like, then you didn't actually go camping or hiking or in the field or whatever the thing you said you did. Because you get dirty.
Yes. Can't be helped.
Not at all. All right. And because we are polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blaze podcast, Game of Thrones, The Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia.
I will admit something. I have not read all three of those. I read part of Chronicles of Narnia, but not enough of it. So we're going to have to go with Mistborn.
Okay. Mistborn is the Sanderson one?
Yes.
Okay. What is it about Mistborn that you like?
I like the action movie vibe of it, the larger than life feeling of it, but also the humanity in it that sort of surprises you. And I'm not usually one for hard magic systems, but this one just kind of fascinates me. I'm like, it's physics on crack. It's fascinating. Yeah, that's kind of sums it up. And I like how it ends. The ending is so perfect and so well done. I mean, it's hard to stick landings with series. I think Sanderson did a really great job with Mistborn.
Did you listen to it or read it?
I read it
with your eyeballs. I suppose listening is reading, but
yeah.
Okay. So is this one of his break your foot if you drop it books, or is this a more normal one?
More
I haven't
normal.
read Brandon Sanderson.
It's more normal.
Okay. I know a lot of people love him. I do know that I've watched a lot of his videos where he teaches like at BYU the creative writing stuff that he films and shares to people who can't afford, potentially get to those kinds of classes. And I like that he pays it forward with authors. So I have much respect there. He's become somewhat of a meme in the indie space because it's a joke about how long his books are.
Yeah.
100,000 words? That's a Brandon Sanderson prequel.
Exactly. I have The Way of Kings. I have not gotten up the nerve yet to read it.
Because it's so long and it's a commitment, or is there some other reason?
Because it's so long and it's a commitment. You know, you kind of have to gear yourself up for it. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me is not the if it's like 6 books but they're long, I'm okay with it generally. When there's the equivalent number of words and it's 17 books, it's split out. Then it starts looking at like the price per word angle, and I'm like, can I afford this series? Let me check and see if it's in the library.
Because I bought the first book as a gift to myself because I met a fitness goal, funnily enough.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks. And then I bought it and never opened it. It's sitting in my office staring at me. One day I will read it.
I give myself different gifts for my fitness goals. So I got 14 pounds to lose, so I get under 300 on my goal back to my Army uniform. I don't know what I'd ever want to put my dress blues on, but it'd be kind of cool to know that I could. Yeah. So for me, I haven't let myself have some of the foods I like Long John Silver's. You can't beat those little crumbly thingies. So that's my goal. I treat myself with the food my diet won't let me have one meal after I reach my goal, and then I go back to it.
That's a good award. That's a good award.
We've even planned it out. It's going to be a guys trip. Some of my friends are just all going to go. They're just happy to excuse to do the food. They don't really care about the fitness. But for me, like, that's my motivation. Like, oh, I'm almost there. But so what is with fitness goal? Is it just progress, or has it been specific like benchmarks?
Oh, benchmarks. Well, for that one, it was, I think, going 10 days straight of walking a certain set number of steps every day. I think that was what that goal was.
Yeah. So first you measure your progress through consistency. And once you get that down, then you can start mirroring your progress through like the actual workout goals. Yeah. But none of that matters if you don't actually start. So that's an excellent gauge as well.
Yeah. But this summer threw me off and I've lost all my consistency because it's hot and sweaty in the South and no one wants to go outside.
Oh, where in the South are you? Generally, I mean, you have to give your obviously.
No, I don't want to give my address. No, I'm in South Carolina.
Okay. I've lived there before. Low country is hot, so I feel your pain.
I grew up in the low country. I don't live in the low country anymore, but I grew up in the low country, and I went to a niece's graduation. It was 9 o'clock in the morning, and there was like a haze in the near distance. And I told my husband later, I said, I had forgotten about the omnipresent haze that just kind of hangs.
It's the humidity that you're visualizing, reflecting and reflecting the light.
Yeah, I forgot that just sticks around for the entire summer. We don't have the haze up here where I live now, but maybe early in the morning.
The other thing is the low country has mosquitoes big enough to carry off small children.
Yes, there's that. And then there's the alligators.
I don't remember seeing alligators when I was living there in the early aughts.
Well, we didn't really go out of our way to find them. My dad caught one on his fishing line once.
Well, there's also been insurgents of certain predator species that aren't native because people are releasing pets into the wild. And because they have no natural predators, they're kind of disrupting. Mm-hmm. Florida has that problem with some of the snakes that get released. Right. People are like, oh, this constrictor looks cool. And then it's going to try to eat their 5-year-old. And they're like, well, maybe we should free it. Free Willy. And then they send it off into the Everglades. So, and it's just raining destruction on natural ecosystems.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you haven't actually read the Sanderson book. You did like Mistborn. Did you read any of his other works?
I read his, I'm staring at it from across the room, trying to remember the name of the title. It's sort of a sequel to the Mistborn, but it's Wax and Wane series. There we go. Which I really like because it has such a steampunk vibe to it. And it has sort of the same magic system, but the feeling is slightly different. And it deals with some of the fallout of what happened in Mistborn. That one I really liked. So that's really all that I've read of Sanderson. I did try to read Elantris. I couldn't do it.
What's Elantris?
That was his first one, his first published novel. and it's just people are going to kill me. It's boring. It's slow. I think I got like 100 pages into it, maybe, and I was waiting for something to happen. Just everybody just standing around talking. It's a fascinating premise, but I was waiting for something to happen.
He's got some books that I pulled up his list real quick, where he's got kids books and YA books that might be interesting, like Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians.
That sounds fun.
Or he built one, The Rhythmatist, which is a young adult fantasy chalk-based magic. Sounds interesting, but like some of his books, it's just a commitment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He also did one recently, something about apothecaries or something. I'm drawing a blank on it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was more approachable, I'm told, and a little bit shorter. But anyway, I'll look it up while you're typing, and then I'll shout out the answer unprompted, dear listener. So one of the crying shames of adulthood is we do stop asking each other the important questions. So we are bringing it back thanks to our sponsors that are gracious enough to donate their supplies to us on the Blasters and Blades podcast. And we're going to ask you, Madam, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Stegosaurus.
Excellent answer. It is one of mine. Did you grow up like with the Land Before Time and stuff?
Yes. I've blocked most of it from my memory, though, along with the other traumatic events of my childhood.
Oh, yeah, I feel you. The show did like invigorate a bunch of kids to be interested in paleontology, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I was already into the nerdy things before then, but I remember when they used to have the Scholastic book fairs.
Yes.
And they always would have the picture books for paleontologists.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what they were, but I just remember they were like, almost felt like you were reading a field journal of an actual paleontologist, but obviously it was written for kids, so not really. And so I've been interested since I read those. I mean, I used to save my money to go to that book fair, and like, I was practicing math to figure out like if I get this one, then I can only get this one, but if I get this one because it's a little cheaper, I can get 4 books instead of 3.
Yeah. The only time my math class ever came in handy was trying to figure out what I could get at the Scholastic Book Fair.
Exactly. And of course, you had that little thin newspaper printout with all the books that, of course, you spent so much time scribbling on, it like rips apart.
Yeah, I would circle what I wanted.
Yeah. So, dear listener, did any of you participate in the Scholastic Book Fair? If so, tell us about it in the comments below. With that, we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. We are no longer knuckle-dragging troglodytes. So, coffee or tea, and how do you take it, madam?
This question buries a dagger into my heart because I have to cut back on caffeine lately. My doctor told me to.
What does he know? Or she?
Well, my heart has been doing spicy things. So, coffee and tea. I like both. I take my coffee black, and I most often drink it during the summer and spring, and then I gradually will switch over to tea in the colder months. And I like my tea with some cream and sugar, depending on the type of tea, but it's usually with like some milk and sugar.
Well, the good news is, while I am not a doctor, I did listen to a lot of lectures from my coaches playing sports growing up. And I can tell you, with your heart issues, just rub some dirt in it and walk it off. You'll be okay. That is the cure to all that ails you. Rub some dirt on it and walk it off.
I tried that, but my husband doesn't like me doing that, so I have to actually do it.
Well, I've also been on dates, so I have seen my big fat Greek wedding. And I know the other option is, of course, just spray it with Windex.
I could try that.
That also might irritate the husband. So, you didn't hear it from me. He's not listening. You're okay.
No, totally didn't hear it from you.
Right. Okay. So, obviously, anybody that writes stories, at one point in time, before they were a writer, they were a reader, they were a consumer of the product. So how did you get into speculative fiction?
Well, I used to read a lot as a kid. I still do read. I remember picking up Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern series. And the very first one, Dragonflight, I think it is, that I read. Which honestly, I thought her stories were fantasy for the longest because I would never read that annoying prologue at the beginning. And it wasn't until like the third book of that trilogy and where they find all that tech in the southern continent, and I was so confused. Like, when did we become a sci-fi? And then I actually looked at the prologue. But anyway, reading that first book, I distinctly remember thinking, I want to be a writer. I want to write stuff like this. And so when I first started really writing and trying to self-publish, I wrote fantasy because that was just what I've always been drawn to. You kind of make your own rules. The world is as you imagine it, and it's like this massive playground. And I love dragons and magic systems and stuff like that, softer ones usually. But then I took a break from writing, came back, and I thought, well, let me see if I can really find my voice. And I found that I love writing in all kinds of genres and playing around in different genres, but they were all under that umbrella of speculative, that what if, what if somebody has an ancient box that opens the way to the Garden of Eden? What happens? Or what if there's a Sasquatch named Gus who likes to eat jerky out of a dumpster? That kind of thing. So that's sort of what I like to write now.
Okay. The only Yeti that I know of is named Harry, and he lives with the Hendersons.
Yes.
And if you understand that joke, it's time to schedule your end of life care meetings with your doctor.
Don't forget your mammogram.
Or your prostate check, whatever.
Or whatever,
We don't judge. Okay, so did you ever think that you would try to make it more of a career, or was it always something you thought would be a hobby?
Oh, always a career. I never once thought of my writing as a hobby. Because it's something that I just do, and it's something that I am in a way. And even when I had normal day jobs, the regular 9 to 5, I was still writing in some capacity. It's like I couldn't not write in some way.
Okay. When you first started writing, what kind of stories were you telling?
Well, when I was first publishing, it was self-publishing. It was straight up like epic fantasy, usual not swords and sorcery in that genre, but it was. But I did write one portal fantasy. That was fun. But it was a series of books, and it followed the adventures of a woman who could see the future and the sort of political machinations she got caught up in. So that was the kind of fantasy I was writing in the beginning.
Okay. So has your taste in what you read and what you write evolved as you've been in this process?
It has, because in order to be able to write in a genre well, you have to read that genre to at least some degree. So as I've wanted to play in different genres, I found that I've had to branch out in my reading. So for instance, because I keep naturally just gravitating towards horror or things with horror elements, I realized I don't read much horror. So I started picking up more horror books. If that counts as speculative fiction, but
it does actually.
Oh, great. Listen, am I calling myself a liar? And I wanted to branch out and write a paranormal thriller, but I don't know much about thrillers and things, so I started reading more of those, and so as I try to write new genres, I try to read them as well.
Do you have a favorite at the moment? Obviously, that's a ever-shifting goalpost, but
what favorite author did I read?
I don't know, favorite genre, since you're all over the place.
Golly. I keep gravitating back to anything that has supernatural, paranormal elements to it. So maybe not necessarily a straight-up ghost story, but something that's just weird and unexplained. I don't even know what genre you would call that. I find myself returning to that again and again. But then sometimes I feel like, okay, I need to go back to my fantasy roots. So like the latest short story that came out on my Substack, Jack in the Cornfield, that's just a regular fantasy monster hunter type story, and it was very refreshing to return to that sort of world.
Okay. Right now, has all of your content been short stories, or have you actually published novels already?
I had published novels under a different name, but you wouldn't be able to find them anymore. So right now, my current pen name, you would only find short stories and novellas. I have serialized novellas on my Substack in the past.
So because your pen name is also your initials, so that makes it also your pen name is an alias and a corporate name if you incorporate your business.
Oh, okay.
Because I run into that because I go by JR anyway. Like that's just what I've always been since I don't like my first name. And so I was doing my some court paperwork for the VA, and we were just shooting the breeze with the lawyer. He's like, "Yeah, your business and your pen name is also an alias." So I thought it was, and it's a nickname. That's the fourth one. It's a pen name, an alias, nickname, and there was something else. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of cool that when you do that. Now, did you not decide to go with like a third letter in there so you could be like George R. R. Martin, J.R.R. Tolkien?
It didn't even occur to me to throw in a third letter. I was just trying to come up with iterations that was close to my name, and that's just, Well, also, my original, like my first pen name, I used J because I do have two middle names, but the second middle name carries some baggage with it. So it was also in a way of kind of shedding that a little bit and distancing myself from that. So that might be why I didn't really think of throwing in a third initial.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You got to do what works for you. And it's, the less letters you throw in there, the easier it is for people to find you.
Yeah, there is that.
And that's always, findability is always an important factor. Like some of these people with their names, I'm like, yep, I understand why you're using a pen name because I could not spell or pronounce your last name.
Yeah, my first name has a weird spelling to it, and I have seen every spelling under the sun, and yeah, it's annoying.
I can see that. Okay. So we wanted to have you on to talk about your anthology story in the Wyrd Rawhide Revenants Wyrd West. But before we do that, we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly shill for the man.
35 awesome stories started by one kick-ass meme. It started as a joke. Storm Area 51, they said. They can't stop all of us, they said. But all laughter has stopped when the U.S. Air Force mobilized and pulled out the big guns. However, relentless mockery and derision by the media and the powers that be pushed the dweebs and alien enthusiasts too far. What else were they supposed to do? They said why not and showed up, determined to find out what secrets were hidden behind the walls of the clandestine government facility. Are you brave enough to buy this anthology today? If you are, find out what the government wants to keep hidden. Read Storming Area 51, a Bayonet Books anthology.
All right, thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude. Now let's talk about the book that brought us here. So first off, it is a Wyrd West story. So what is Wyrd West? It's spelled W-Y-R-D if you're listening only.
Wyrd West is, my understanding, because this is actually the first time I've ever written in it, written a Wyrd West story. My understanding is it's the fantastical, the strange, the unexplained, set in the wild, wild West. For this particular anthology, the open call explained that they wanted people to really dig into the local legends, Native American lore of America. Because I know in the Wyrd West before this, there was like they had stories with like unicorns and other European type stories, but this one I think they wanted to stay more homegrown. So it's I guess it's meant to have like a folklore weird vibe.
Okay. So is your story in this anthology, what is it called?
It's called the Long Road Home.
There's a movie out by that name. Or
I'm sorry, The Hard Road Home.
Oh,
I knew I said it wrong as soon as it came out of my mouth. The Hard Road Home. I keep getting it confused with the movie title. But yeah, it's The Hard Road Home.
So is the collection like, what would you give it on a movie rating? Is it clean? Is it R? Is it whatever's after R in the book world?
I would say that it's probably a PG-13. There's nothing explicit as far as I know, but it's definitely for grown-ups.
Okay. What about your story? Was yours within the PG-13, or did you go a little harder?
No, my story is probably more PG than that. There's like a shootout. Of course there is. It's happening in the Wild West. It has to be a Wild West. There's some violence,
Was it at high noon?
No, it was not. It was at night. They were busting somebody out. They couldn't do it in the middle of the day.
Okay. But I mean, if you do a sequel, you gotta have the shootout at high noon.
Ah, yes. And they have to face each other down the main street of the town.
In paces, right.
Yeah.
So where did you get the premise for your story in this collection? Like, where'd you come up with your core idea?
Well, whenever I think about the Wild West and things that are strange, I think of those traveling sideshow carnivals.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's where it started for me. And because a lot of times with those sideshow carnivals, the sideshow is fake. You know, you had for example, the Fiji mermaid, when it was really just a taxidermied fish half and a monkey shoved together, and that was the Fiji mermaid. But other things like that too, that they would try to pass off as something other than it was. But I thought, well, what if one of the exhibits is something real? And it rolled from there.
Okay. Who is the main character in your story? Can you tell us a little bit about them without spoilers, obviously?
The main character in my story is a young man who is sort of a failed cowboy. He came from east, from the Appalachian area, and he came out west to sort of make it as a cowboy. He was there as he heard too many stories. He'd read too many dime novels, and he decided, I'm going to go out west and make it. But turns out he's a terrible cowboy. His name is Wes Cobb. He's a terrible cowboy, and he doesn't want to go home. He's running low on options. And that's when he decides, I'm going to walk over and see what the sideshow is, because I don't have anything else to do. He gets offered a job.
Okay. Was weird Western something you were already a fan of before you started writing this short story for the open call, or did you discover it through the open call? Because I found some open calls where I'm like, wait, that's a genre. So there's no shame. Like, not everyone uses.
My exact same reaction. I'm like, Weird West is a thing? No one told me.
Yeah.
Did I miss the announcement?
I felt that way about steampunk when I found it, because I thought it was just ladies that wore corsets and monocles at the cons and stuff.
Yeah.
But apparently there are books, and so I found some good ones.
Yeah. I was trying to get my story into an anthology, and I came across Raconteur. A friend of mine kind of clued me in on them. And this is one of the open calls. And it wasn't even so much the weird part. Like, the weird part for me was interesting. It was the Western part. I grew up watching Westerns with my dad. And so the Westerns hold a soft spot in my heart. And I thought it would be really interesting to take what to me is kind of a wholesome childhood memory, watching John Wayne movies with my dad, but also mix into it my love of the strange and supernatural. Have we lost JR?
Oh, I forgot to unmute. Do you have a favorite John Wayne movie?
A favorite John Wayne movie? Oh, golly. I love McClintock because it's hysterical.
Yeah, that is one of my favorites.
It's just so unhinged. I love it.
It had very Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. John Wayne and the Cowboys was the first one I saw, so that always has a special place in my heart, too. And oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name. It's a two-word title. It starts with the. They have to go find the girl that was kidnapped by the Indians.
The Searchers is maybe?
The Searchers. Yeah, I saw The Searchers in college and loved it. But that one I loved it more just for the cinematography of it and how big and vast it made the West, and how the cinematography told you so much about the characters themselves. So that's one of the few movies I've seen where I love because of the director more than the actual actors. If that makes sense.
Yeah, when it comes to cinematography in Westerns, my favorite is still The Outlaw Josie Wales.
I have not seen that.
That's Clint Eastwood.
Okay, yeah.
It's a post-Civil War cowboy who, it starts with him when he's getting out of the Confederate Army and then follows him out west. Clint Eastwood being Clint Eastwood, so, the man of few words.
Yeah.
But he does have the cool cigar and he growls, so.
Okay, as long as he has that.
Right. With John Wayne, it was more the one-liners that he was known for.
Yeah. John Wayne wanted to be in. I heard this. I'm not verified this, but that he wanted to be in Blazing Saddles, or they asked him to be in Blazing Saddles, and he had to turn it down.
Had to? What was it about Blazing Saddles that would make him turn it down?
I think it had to do with image and his fans. Like it just wouldn't fit with his persona, if I'm remembering this correctly.
Okay. So back to the Wyrd Western. So for you, it was the Western angle. The Wyrd was just bonus on the cake. For me, I've always thought of Wyrd Western as like urban or paranormal fantasy meets Western setting. I know that's not entirely nailed down. I actually have that on the list of panels I want to do. Is do one on the Wyrd West, because it's not something I am as familiar with. But so is this story that you wrote, it's a heist? Is it an action adventure? Like, what would you describe the overall vibe of your story?
It is sort of a heist, but it's also adventure. How do I explain this without spoiling the book? The story. Wes has a problem, and it's that he's never really found a place to fit in, and he's never found a place to really be himself in a way that's productive. and then when he's offered this job, he has a choice to make, and in the end, doing the right thing means doing a heist, and it means being the hero that he came out to the West to be, but not in the way that he thought.
Okay. Have you read any of the other stories in this collection yet?
I keep meaning to. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm one of those really weird readers that the more I think I have to read this, I should read this, the less I want to, and the more I procrastinate on it.
If you've got school-age kids, this came out over the summer, so reading sometimes takes a hit. So
yeah, I don't have any school age kids, so I can't blame them.
you can blame the hypotheticals. I'm cool with that. We won't tell anybody. But yeah, so it came out in May, I believe, of this year of 2025. So
Yes.
Do you think that you're going to do more with this story? Do you think you're going to continue on and novelize it, serialize it, or is this a one and done for you?
I feel like it's a one and done. I think Wes's story has been very thoroughly told. The ending is sort of, it ties up pretty well. I wouldn't mind going back just to that general weird vibe and write something else as a Western. Because it was definitely stepping outside of my comfort zone, because it's one thing to watch Westerns and another thing to write one, because I had to do research into things like boarding houses and stuff like that, and sideshows, and educate myself. And so it's not just a matter of always sitting down and writing. You have to really delve into the real world of it. And I don't know where I'm going with this.
Okay, so you would tell a story in the world, but not with that character.
Yeah, not with that character. He's done.
I do like the idea of the traveling. Who was it? Ripley's Believe It or was it Ripley's that did the Believe It or? I mean, I know he's the Believe It or Not. Was he the one who did the traveling shows?
Oh, there were a lot. I don't know if Ripley specifically went out there, but there were just a lot of different outfits that would head out west and would have these traveling sideshows. P.T. Barnum was particularly known for it. But I don't remember coming across Ripley's in my research.
One of them was famous for the guy said there's a sucker born every minute kind of thing.
That was P.T. Barnum.
Okay. Yeah, I just Googled it. Yeah, it was P.T. Barnum I was thinking about.
Yeah, I really don't like that musical they made about him. It makes me mad. I can't watch it. Because Barnum was very much not come into my show and be who you really are and celebrate who you are. No, he was exploiting people. It was all exploitation.
Yeah, but the flip side of that, if we're being brutally honest, at the era that those were happening, those people were unemployable otherwise.
That is true. That was something I came across in my research, that on the one hand there was exploitation, there was abuse of power, but at the same time there were really successful people who made a lot of money, sideshow people who wouldn't have been able to otherwise. They would have been destitute. They would have been in poverty. So it definitely is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it really depends on what outfit they work for, because some of them, let them get a cut of the profits they earned, and others not so much.
Right.
But it's definitely like those at the era that they were doing those. If you weren't at a freak show, they'd have you locked up in a sanatorium kind of thing.
Yeah, or you'd be hidden away in the house and no one would ever talk about you and that sort of thing.
Yeah, in the attic with the Kennedys. What? Did I say that? So I mean, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I do think it's an interesting concept. The traveling circus, the carnies, the road vibe. It's almost like a reimagining of the gypsies, the travelers.
And they are, and we still have that traveling show carny culture now. Even now, it hasn't really gone away. It's just sort of changed a little with time and morphed with time, but we still have that culture.
I know a couple of them show up every year with the baseball little league stuff. They'll do a couple of those carnivals show up and around major like holidays and stuff. So I know they still exist, but not to the level and not to the scope they used to be.
Right.
And I would not trust any of their roller coasters because it looked like a strong breeze would knock them all over.
But that's half the fun, but taking your life in your hands, JR.
I've proved the cats have more than 9 lives, and I don't want to tempt fate by finding out what the next number is. Okay, so you like the Weird West, potentially go back to the genre, but not necessarily to those stories. Now, if you went back to the genre, would you write in the world enough that the main character's story was part of the world, or would you create a whole new world?
Oh, I have noticed I tend to create worlds. I can't help it. I've noticed that with my own short stories on my Substack, they're starting to link together, and places and names are getting mentioned, and I can't help it. So it probably would be the same world, even if in a very subtle kind of way. Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything that surprised you about your research you did in preparing for this Wyrd West anthology?
Nothing really surprised me. I just know that when I was researching the sideshow part, it was upsetting because some of the stuff was really bad. But I don't recall really being surprised. Some of it was just checking to make sure my own knowledge was accurate.
Yeah. What's that old saying? It's not what you know that's the problem. It's what you think you know that just ain't so, to paraphrase Mark Twain.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's all. I do that myself too. I'm like, I was a historian, I know this stuff, and then I Google it. I'm like, oh, my memory sucks. So yeah, it's always good to second guess yourself. If you did this again, would you tell the stories of this universe in a series of short stories, like interconnected, I guess, short stories, novellas, and novelettes, or do you think you'd actually do proper novels?
I would love to be able to write a proper novel again one day. I, for some reason, have been having such a huge block with that. I have several novels that I have started and just didn't make it all the way through. So a novel is one day in the future at some point, but it probably would just be short stories, novellas, and novelettes.
Okay. If you could live in the world you created, this Wyrd West fantasy world, would you do it?
I don't know. They don't have indoor plumbing. Well,
They have
maybe
magical plumbing, right?
They did. Yeah, they did have indoor plumbing. I'm sorry. Well, I guess it actually would depend on where you were.
And what social class you were when you talk about these worlds.
Yeah, yeah. Golly, I don't
You
know.
want to be high enough up in the social strata that you live a good life, but not so high that people want to whack you, take you out,
Yeah,
for political reasons.
yeah, or yeah, I would want to be high enough where I would be comfortable and I'd have pretty dresses, but not so high that my family would sell me off in marriage.
So for pretty dresses, what era of dresses are we talking about for, the fantasy side? You actually like the 1870s era, sort of Wild West?
I do. I think they look fun.
Very Victorian and a lot of buttons.
Yes, a lot of buttons.
So many buttons. I wonder how long it took them to actually get dressed, and if they had to undo every button every time.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of those buttons were fake and didn't actually do anything.
I have made that speculation about the space station or the space shuttles, that some of those buttons were fake and it was just so they could charge more.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if this was also true. Or if not fake, at least you didn't have to undo them every time.
Probably. You could probably just undo it just enough to kind of slither out.
Think about all, well, you don't actually probably wear a tie, but like I can loosen a tie and take it off without totally undoing it, so I don't have to retie it next time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, my husband wears ties, so I'm familiar with the concept.
Okay.
I wore a tie once to a midnight release of a Harry Potter book, and I was dressed up as a Gryffindor student. So.
Okay.
I didn't know how to tie it. My friend's dad had to tie it for me because I didn't know how to tie a tie.
I don't think I've ever been to a midnight release of anything.
Oh man, I have willingly and unwillingly. I think that was the first one I attended that I wanted to be there, and the other ones was because I was working at a Barnes and Noble, and you got paid extra for being at a midnight release of something.
What was the midnight release you attended when you were working at the bookstore?
One of the Twilight books. I forget which one. I think it was like the last one. I'm not sure. And they wanted us all to dress up as different characters. And so I picked Esme because it was the easiest.
Yeah, the problem with that is like if you don't have that natural till, I mean, unless they're paying you extra to get the costume, you're making minimum wage. So that's a lot to ask.
Well, no, when they say dress up, so we were like thrifting,
Okay.
or what? Why I say it was easy because I had classy kind of clothes already at home, and so I just threw those on and put on some makeup and some nice earrings and slapped a name tag that said Esme. I was done.
That's cheating, and I approve. Okay. Is there any closing thoughts about Wyrd West and specifically Rawhide Revenants that you want to leave the audience with as we wrap this puppy up?
Buy the book.
All right. Speaking of, this is the part where I remind you, dear listener, to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. It really does matter. And Raconteur Press will love you forever if you leave reviews on their anthologies, because it really does help tweak the algorithms for them and keeps these going. And as someone who absolutely adores short content, I am more than thrilled that Raconteur Press is killing it and getting these books out. Sleep, it's for the week. They don't need that over there. They could just drink more coffee and then publish an extra anthology. And with that, how might listeners and viewers at home reach you on the Wild Wild Interwebs?
They can reach me by going to my Substack, theforgottenlibrary.substack.com. They can find me on Instagram and on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call that. And I do have a website, sllinton.com.
Okay. And you can find us, dear listener, on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we link to all the things, the BitChute, the Rumble, YouTube, TikTok, the Twitter. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Blasters and Blades Facebook page and Facebook group. We have our email, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. For professional purposes only, people save the shenanigans from Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee, hot chocolate, or coffee until it pours out of their eyeballs and we swim away on a river of Java. It will be glorious. I had to throw that hot chocolate in there because Coffee Brand Coffee does sell hot chocolate, dear listener. And one of our co-hosts, Jana, is absolutely in love with the hot chocolate. One day we will convert her to the Church of Coffee, but that won't be today. And so you check it out. If you get some of that Coffee Brand Coffee, use the link in the show notes, discount code podcast grunts. You get 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. It's a win-win, people. And you help keep the lights on. And with that, I'd like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. Thank you for coming on, madam. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we're going to hit the end button. Don't cuss yet. Don't.